Gerald Cohen is a composer whose music we heard last time, an excerpt from his opera Sarah and Hagar, on a libretto by Charles Condé. They also have a beautiful opera that takes place in a concentration camp called Steal a Pencil from Me. And I invited both of them today, but they weren't able to make it. Michael Cohen is one of 6 composers on our list who musicalized the Diary of Anne Frank. In chronological order, they include the Paris-born American Solomon Pimsleur, whose version was never completed but is in manuscript at the University of Washington. Secondly, the unusually long-lived Soviet composer Grigori Frid, whose lovely monodrama had mostly private performances in 1968, but has gradually attained a world following in translation. We'll be hearing an excerpt from that later. Thirdly, the Canadian Oscar Morawetz, whose 1970 opera was performed by the CBC in Toronto. Fourthly, Michael Cohen's work, which began as a New York music theater piece called Yours Anne, and then developed into a song cycle, I Am Anne Frank, and a chamber work, I Remember, for mezzo-soprano, flute, harp, cello, and piano. It was performed at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. in 1996, and at Hofstra in 2001. I was there, and I met Michael last time I saw you, Mimi, at the New York premiere of his opera Rappaccini's Daughter at Theater for a New City last fall. I have to say, I think his Anne Frank pieces are not really operas. Rappaccini's Daughter certainly is, but these Anne Frank pieces are not. But Ken Jaffe lists them that way, so we have them on this list. Fifthly, the award-winning film composer Michael Nyman, who wrote the score for a Japanese animated opera on the subject in 1995. And finally, the most recent version, which I mentioned last time, by the Israeli-American Shulamit Ran on a libretto by Charles Condé, slated to be premiered in Bloomington, Indiana and Atlanta, Georgia in 2016-17.